ladies, gents, and all fabulous in betweens. Welcome to another episode of Mic Drop Matters. Today we are diving headfirst into a topic that will probably get Henry cancelled. Is the gender pay gap a myth or reality? With me is Henry, who thinks women must be paid less.
Well, look who finally invited me to the battlefield of bad ideas. I'm Henry, guest, menace, and walking HR violation, reporting for petty duty. Greetings to you all.
Oh, look who brought glitter to a gunfight. Henry, the chaos in human form. Thank you for that dramatic entrance. Let's dig in our today's topic. Is the gender pay gap a myth or reality? The gender pay gap seems like a simple math problem. 82 cents versus $1. But what if the real story is hidden in the complex web of social expectations, career choices, and unconscious biases that shape our entire economic system?
That's such a fascinating way to frame it. And you know what strikes me? How this conversation keeps resurfacing despite people claiming it's been solved.
Exactly. And here's what's really mind blowing. When women enter a field in large numbers, the average pay actually tends to decrease. But when men enter traditionally female fields, suddenly the prestige and pay start climbing.
That's the glass elevator effect, right? While women hit the glass ceiling, men in these professions somehow rise straight to the top.
That's exactly what we need to examine. When society expects women to be the primary caregivers, then penalizes them professionally for fulfilling that role, can we really call it a free choice?
You know what I find most interesting about this whole debate? The way people try to explain it away with the personal choice argument.
Oh man, let's talk about these so-called choices. Like the assumption that women just naturally gravitate toward lower paying fields, as if there's no societal pressure or historical context behind those decisions.
And doesn't this connect to that famous argument about how if women really did get paid less, companies would just hire all women to save money?
Yeah, that argument completely ignores how bias actually works in the real world. It's like saying racism couldn't exist because it's bad for business.
So true. And speaking of bias, what about those studies showing how differently negotiation attempts are received based on gender?
The negotiation data is fascinating. Women who negotiate assertively as men are often viewed as difficult or not teaming players, while men are seen as leadership material for the exact same behavior.
Like how a man might be called passionate while a woman is labeled emotional.
You know what is really wild? The motherhood penalty versus the fatherhood bonus. Women's earnings typically plateau or decline after having children, while men's continue to rise.
The mental load of managing household responsibilities.
Absolutely right. And let me share some numbers that will blow your mind. Studies show women spend an average of 2.5 more hours per day on unpaid household work and childcare than men.
Well, that certainly puts the whole women just need to work harder argument in perspective.
And here's another layer. When we talk about the 82 cents to the dollar gap, that's actually the base case scenario. For women of color, the gap is significantly wider.
But even with those policies in place, they haven't completely closed the gap, have they?
No, and that's what makes this so complex. Even with the most progressive policies in the world, we're still fighting against centuries of ingrained cultural norms and expectations.
So what's the solution? What actually works?
Well, the data shows several promising approaches. Pay transparency is huge. When people know what others are making, it's harder to maintain unfair pay differences. Gender-neutral parental leave policies make a difference too.
And what about the role of flexible work arrangements? The pandemic really showed us how many jobs can be done remotely or on flexible schedules.
That's a fascinating point, but here's the twist. Some studies suggest working from home might actually widen the gap. Women are more likely to use that flexibility for caregiving, while men use it to increase productivity.
So even solutions can have unintended consequences if we don't address the underlying cultural issues.
Exactly. And you know what? Maybe that's why this conversation keeps coming back. Because until we address these deeper structural issues, no single policy solution will be enough.
It really makes you think about how deeply these patterns are woven into the fabric of our society.
Looking ahead, I think we're going to see this issue become even more complex as the nature of work changes. With automation and AI entering the workforce, we need to be extra vigilant about how these changes might affect the gender pay gap.
That's such an important point about the future of work.
So maybe the real question isn't whether the gap exists, but whether we're ready to make the deep structural changes needed to finally close it.
Trish, you should run an HR. So Trish, here is a question. Do I get a cookie? Thank you for hosting me today. This was very interesting topic indeed. Do call me next time. To the audiences, thank you for all your opinions until we meet again.
That's a wrap on Mic Drop Matters. Moral of the story? The gender pay gap is real. And no, it's not just because Karen didn't ask for a raise. Oh, until next time. Mic Drop Matters out. It's a bye for now.